What's up today, guys? Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm often told I'm very good at it, so I see lots of other people getting tons of views when they do it. We're going to talk about how to drive a standard properly, how to rev match, downshift, do quicker shifts, and just maybe improve what you already know a little bit better. Most of you probably already know how to drive a standard, so we're going to be doing so in this V8 6-speed E39 540i with some modifications. This is my personal car. I've got a short and shift kit. I've got the clutch restrictor deleted in this car. The BMWs are real bad. If you're a fast shifter, you can shift way faster than what the car will allow you if you don't do those modifications. So we're gonna get the camera mounted. I'll get this thing fired up and I'll try to teach you how to drive a standard by watching a video. And we're doing so in something pretty healthy working. This car made right around 270 at the wheels. If you want to check out my other videos when I dynoed it. Full straight pipe decatted exhaust system. So I like people to look when I'm driving. So I got this thing geared up that it turns heads. So we'll get her fired up and get out the road. Alright guys, so you hear a lot of people driving 4-cylinders and they like to constantly rev. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine, but generally in first gear and reverse, I just try to go for, say, 1,000, 1,500 RPMs if it's a smaller engine, and just, you know, slowly start riding the clutch. You'll feel it grab. When you feel it grab, just kind of feather the gas and keep your RPMs up in that happier area. If you're down by an idle, you're going to be more likely to stall. So, I mean, first and reverses, you're really, you know, if you never drove before, those are going to be your trickier gears. Because once the car is rolling, I mean, you pretty much just shove the clutch in, shift, let it out. There's nothing funny to be done with the gas pedal other than let off when you make the shift. So everyone's all hyped up over the rev match, and my new BMW M5, not new, I guess my V10 BMW M5 has the SMG transmission, and it'll actually rev match for you on the downshifts when you're using the paddle shifters or the stick shifter. The car just automatically knows how to do it. So with older cars and, you know, true manual cars like this, they don't know how to do it, so you have to do it for them. People crack it up to be way more than it is, because all it is when you clutch to downshift to your lower gear, you just put a throttle blip in between it. Nothing more, nothing less, just a quick, you know. And all that does is, it, you know, if you're in a racing scenario that you don't want the guy passing you, it just gets everything ready and happy for all that stuff to take place. It's funny, like I watch other guys' videos and I don't really like dissing on people, but Beamer Fam just posted a video doing this in his M5, and every time he downshifts, he writes rev match downshift like it's some big amazing thing. I've been driving a standard for like 16 years, and I've done it since day one. Nobody taught me how to do it. I always done it just because that's how you get the full performance out of stuff when you're driving it. So, that being said, the trickier part is rev matching and downshifting single gears is easy. It's when you skip 2 or 3 on the downshift, that's when you want to be more precise and really know your car. Because if you overshoot, you're going to get a clutch buck because your motor's revving too fast for what your gear train's doing. Too low is never really a bad thing, But if it's too low, then it'll fall on its face when you first engage the gear and let the clutch out all the way. So I'm cruising in 5th. I'm just going to do a quick drop to 3rd, and basically when you give your throttle blip in between, obviously you want to go a little bit more because you're about 1500 RPM difference for gears. And it's funny, like a lot of these older cars, if you're really good at shifting, you can get away with not even using the clutch if you're really good at, feeling it out and doing what you do. Like there, I just shifted without even using the clutch. Here's my foot. It's easier to do in the downshift. The upshift, it's a little bit more complicated because when you're going down, you're going up in RPM. And some cars won't allow you to do it, some will. These 6-speed get regs are just one amazing transmission. If you enjoy driving a standard, these are truly one of the best feeling things you'll ever grab in your hand and shift. So you guys that are drivers, you'll know that rev matching is easy. Every vehicle's different for the Takeoff, so if you drive 5 or 6 different makes and models in the run of a week, yeah, there's a chance that when you jump from one to another, you might stall it just because you're used to driving the one. So you have different size engines, different amounts of horsepower, so nothing I said is written in stone. Like a smaller 4-cylinder engine, if it's high geared, you may have to bring the tack up 2,000 or 25 to get a good nice takeoff without a stall or a buck. Bigger V8s like this car, you don't even actually got to give it any gas. This idles at 400 RPM and you can ride the clutch and take off, and it doesn't struggle to do so. But if you're not a good driver and you try to do that, you let it out too fast, you get a buck and a stall. I've got to say, my personal experience, your hardest, most difficult shift is after a hard launch in a race or, a driving fast application. When you make that power shift from first to second, nailing that perfect is usually the hardest thing, because especially if you got a powerful car, it thrashes you in the seat on the launch. So then you're already a little bit messed up from that, and you're grabbing for the shifter, and that is the shift that you will see 99% of drivers fail, and it is the hardest one. You can be the best driver in the world and you can still mess it up once in a while. So there's nothing crazy to driving these standards. Once you get the first and reverse thing down pat, it's very, very easy, and it just becomes natural to you. So it's not great for the clutch, but a good practice thing to do at home in your driveway if you have a hill is just practice taking off and stopping, let the car roll back. Because when you're out on the road, the biggest panic situation you'll be in is when you're on a hill in traffic in the city and you got the hill lined up behind you, you're on a hill trying to take off, and Buddy's right up your ass with his SUV that's worth $100,000 that you don't want to roll back into. So if you've never driven a standard before, and you don't have a steep driveway, I would go somewhere on a desolate road, find a small hill like that, and just do it a few times, get yourself used to it. Because when you're out on the road and that happens, and you never done it and you panic, that's when you're going to have, bumper bangers and excited people and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to run this thing a little bit harder just to show you guys that I can drive it. driving a standard, chances are if it's not happy, it's going to let you know. So now we've got some turns here. I'm going to do a 6 to 4. Now we're going to show you the difficult shift, and that's the one where you ignite the back tires a little bit and you power shift in a second, keep the tires spinning without missing the gear and revving the car off rev limiter and making yourself look like an idiot in front of everyone that's waiting to see you do it. So now we're going to learn how to do a burnout. And to do a burnout, you want to bring the tack up really high at the start in first gear. We're talking, I'm going to shoot for 4,000. Then you just do a clutch dump. And when it comes out of it and starts going down the road, then you do the almighty shift for second. So here we go. Nailed her. I'll be honest, in this car, boys and girls, I've been driving these for, handy to 10 years. I've been behind the wheel of a 540i 6-speed, and I keep my fluids fresh, my filters changed, I treat the cars good, but I drive them. And my back tires are pretty much absolutely cooked as it is. I probably shouldn't even have just did that, but hey, what do you do? So now we'll do a hard takeoff without spinning the tires, which again, that hard shift to second gear. And when you're racing, you don't want to hit rev limiter, you want to be just a hair before it when you make the shift. So there you have it, guys. Pretty much all you can do with that information. Nobody's going to start off a standard driver perfect. So you pretty much just got to jump in and learn for yourself. And just don't get too crazy with the engine RPMs, unless you're used to it and racing and you want it to be there. Normal everyday driving, there's no need to exceed 3 or 3,500 RPM. Depending on the vehicle, I see a lot of guys like granny shifters, we call them. The goal isn't to get in 5th and 6th gear if it's a 5-speed or 6-speed. The car is totally fine driving through the lower gears. I see a lot of people, when they grab that shifter, they just want to go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th so they can stop shifting. I don't recommend that as a practice. If you got a less powerful car, when you hit a hill, you're going to have to downshift on the hill ascent. So, get used to the vehicle you're driving, feel the gears out. You'll know when it's not happy. It'll beat off rev limiter. It will, you'll buck and stall it. But yeah, it's a learning curve. There's not a person out there that jumped in their first standard for the first time in their life and drove it like someone that's used to it can do. And no such thing. There's people that pick up quicker than others, but nobody's perfect the first time. And even, I've been doing it 16 years, and once in a while, if I'm driving something I'm not too familiar with, I might miss a shift. And not too often in this old girl, I gotta say. I hit the gears pretty good with this friggin' thing every time, so happens. If it don't, well, I guess we keep looking. And I don't know, another 2 cents worth, I guess. You know, you'll find that when you're driving certain vehicles, like I find especially with this car, I mean, it'll shift fine at any RPM or whatever through the gears, but I find if you bring the tach up over 25, like it shifts really smoothly around 3000 RPM, like you just get a nice fluid gear change. Lower RPMs, you might feel a little more stiffness on the shifter, but again, every vehicle's different. These are just things when you drive, you'll notice it and you'll learn the stuff yourself. It's not rocket science. And it's funny because most vehicles, I mean, yeah, the new automatics are getting pretty intense, but like especially older vehicles, a standard compared to an automatic with the same amount of horsepower, if you can drive that standard, you'll kill the automatic just about every time. So, and I mean, certain cars, like, you know, I like BMWs, the video's done with a BMW, but, you know, you can drive any car the way I'm driving this. Where was I going? Some vehicles you can't get in an automatic, they're only offered as a standard, like the E39 M5. So, you know, if one of those is your dream car, I would hope that you already know how to drive a standard, but just using it for an example, if you didn't know how to drive a standard and you wanted to buy that car, well, you're going to have to learn. But, I mean, worst case scenario, you'll put a clutch into it in the learning process. Probably not too. It's not something that's that hard to learn. Most people can pick up onto it within a few hours. You know, some it might take you a few days, and that also depends on how much seat time you get. I'm lucky myself because I've driven, you know, anything from dirt bikes, motorcycles, race four-wheelers, snowmobiles, you know, high-performance trucks, cars, all standard, all with a hand clutch or a foot clutch. So it's not like I've only driven cars. I grew up on motorcycles and four-wheelers and stuff like that. So it's all, you know, drivetrain skills, I call it. That concludes my video on how to drive a standard, how to rev match, how to take off, and how to do a burnout. Hope you guys enjoyed. Just kidding. We gotta do a 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Rev match downshift every gear. Rev match downshift. Rev match downshift. Rev match downshift. Now we're going to let it just roll out for a bit because I'm not quite to my driveway yet. Which is fine, nothing's being hurt. Rev match downshift, and the hardest one, the first. Oh baby, we got her. Alright guys, enjoy your day. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And just remember, boys and girls, you haven't truly experienced a real standard until you drove one of these beasts. Oh yeah.